The main event of this and what we were all waiting for, Brian, everybody on well, I won't say everybody because there's our level-headed, logical audience, but a lot of the modern fans on the internet just lost their teetotal shit that Jay White showed up on AEW, right? You remember that because he's from Japan or from New Japan. The forbidden door again has been flung open.
There were some fans excited, although for a lot of people it was overshadowed immediately by Keith Lee.
Well, as it should have been, also because this guy's, shocking debut was to walk into the loading dock during a fight on a pre-tape. But nevertheless, Jay White from New Japan, he's here. I've never seen him wrestle. I've never seen him talk. So I'm going to watch this show, right, on Friday night. I'm going to see what all the shouting's about Jay White. And he did a promo. And now we find, I said he's got an accent. I thought he was from England. I thought he was British. Come to find out, I guess he is from New Zealand. So even farther away from us. But that's what his accent is.
Oh, so they can get a group rate when they fly him and Tony Storm over.
There you go. And he did a promo at the start. Mark Henry, we have not seen Paul White, the former Big Show, since about 3 weeks after he got signed and he had that one match on TV. We never see him do an interview. We never see him do anything. Mark Henry, they've signed him to be an announcer on a Friday night show. We now see him do a 45-second pre-tape. And so the biggest stars in the company are the ones in federal witness protection. So he hosts the promos. Jay White, okay promo. Nothing revolutionary, nothing great, didn't suck, wasn't rotten. It was an average, I would say, WWE style promo where he seemed to have memorized his verbiage and delivered it very well and with some feeling, but you could tell that it was a WWE kind of memorized style promo. Did you see it? Did you see this show at all?
I did see the show, actually, yes.
Okay, well, is that kind of a description that you feel is fair about his promo?
I did see a few people point out the way he used his hands. It was very much a trained way of using his hands while he was speaking. Look, a lot of these guys, this is the kind of promo they do. This is what they grew up watching.
Yeah. So it was what it was. It wasn't bad. Trent did one, not as good. It's kind of like if White's was an average WWE style TV type promo, Trent's was an average indie promo where a guy's holding a fucking camera phone. Jay White, positive. He looks in great shape. He's got some attitude when he comes out. He's got body language. We're apparently told he's got a lot of titles in Japan. Excrement made sure to mention that. He's got nice body language. He takes bumps well. He runs the ropes well. He's got aggression. I can see if he was in with somebody else of a higher level that, you would have something here. I couldn't believe, well, I could believe it, but when Trent comes out, I wrote, Jesus Christ, here comes Pockets too. So they have to insinuate this fucking clown into everything because Tony Khan is fascinated or fixated over him. But now have they not pigeonholed Jay White? Okay, he's supposedly a superstar, and everybody's excited about it. He's wrestling a lower card guy on a totem pole. The mascot's out in the corner, and it's 10 minutes everything he can do to beat Trent. So has he not already been pigeonholed as a middle card guy?
No, because it was the Friday night show, and I don't think people care too much about that. Although it was on earlier this week. It was actually the best time slot they've ever had on a Friday night.
Yeah, but that's how they seem, if that's how he's presented. If you're presenting it, okay, look, this guy's competitive with undercard people, and the mascot's out, so it's the clown car crew, and he's not going to be in the fucking title picture. Here's another, on Friday nights, are they sweetening the audio? I noticed this because it's Friday night. Well, it's Friday night. It's the night after they're taping Dynamite. It's 11:40 or whatever by the time this thing's finished. So they need to watch that because it doesn't sound as believable as the WWE. They've had more experience at it. Anyway, so as far as Jay White's work, At first, he was kind of working like the heel. Or actually, at first, he was working like the babyface. Trent was kind of being heelish. Then Jay White was kind of working like the heel. And then I figured out that apparently this guy has been in Japan a lot more than he's been anywhere else. And it's one of those deals where both these guys were having a Japanese/indie style match where they just do shit back and forth and you can't tell who the heel is. And also, as it goes on, we'll find out the flaw, the chink in Jay White's armor. They went to a break after it was a nice belly to back on old Trent over the top rope to the floor for a break spot, and they come back. White's getting heat on Beretta. Now he's a heel. But then they rolled out. They both took a bump, rolled out on the floor for no reason. First, I think it was Jay White that just rolls out, and then Trent rolls out, and then he goes for a springboard backflip moonsault. Trent does off the ring onto Jay White on the floor and completely missed that motherfucker and did basically a frog splash, backflip splash off the top rope, 3 or 4 feet above the top rope, straight onto the goddamn floor. Did you see that? He went straight past him.
I did, and unfortunately it's not a unique occurrence in AEW or in modern wrestling. And this guy just got back from, a year off with a neck injury?
Yes. Why would you? That move made no sense in that placement, in this time, in this match. It wasn't called for. Even if he'd hit him, nobody would remember it tomorrow because they've already seen at that taping 18 million fucking dives and Dante Martin leaping tall buildings with a single bound. And he missed it anyway. But fortunately, even though Trent Beretta missed Jay White completely, obviously, including on the 3 replays that they replayed of the missed move, Jay White sold it anyway and laid there like he was dead, and Trent Beretta got right up and rolled Jay White back in the ring. That was a hospitalization angle. If you had planned to do this, people would have bought it. Whether it be in the 70s, 80s, 90s, and OVW in the 2000s, the 2010, today, if this was the climactic point of this match, and this fucking guy missed that goddamn splash and landed and laid there, and the referee called for the bell, and they stopped the match, and they brought an ambulance in the ring or into the arena and carried this motherfucker out, not a single soul would have said bullshit. But he just got right back up, and off we go. Because they don't know what they're doing, and they've never been taught, and they don't know not to even go for those moves. But if they go that wrong, what the fuck? At least sell it for a little while. If you don't want to fuck up the show, then don't goddamn change the finish on the fly, but sell the fucking thing. Anyway, moments later, White's up. He's fine. He's doing all kinds of shit. His shit looks great. But the problem is, apparently, his career has primarily been in Japan or on the indies, and he works a modern style. The matches don't make sense. This guy, you can tell, Jay White, if he could work with the Punks and the Danielsons, if this was the old days and he was in territory and he was working on top with veterans, this guy has the potential, from what I see, to be a fucking superstar. But as it was, he just doesn't know how to have a match or put it together because all he's done is the Japanese indie shit. And this was just a series of, I wrote it one, then I said, God, this is long. He does moves to the other guy. Then the other guy does moves to him. There's nobody to cheer for. There's nobody really to boo against. They're wrestling the same style. Nothing registers because they don't sell anything. There's no continuity to the fucking thing. And the finish drove this point home. And boom, 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 boom. Trent Beretta grabs Jay White, gives him a pile driver, cover, 2 count. He kicked out. Right after the pile driver, Jay White, as Trent is pulling Jay White to his feet, Jay White grabs Trent and hit what looked like a lesser, lower crossroads. 1, 2, 3. What the fuck? Literally, that was the series of events. The guy was pile driven and covered for a 2 count. He kicks out of a pile driver, like that isn't fucking ridiculous enough to begin with, and then stands up and grabs the guy that just pile drove him and gives him a finish. And the finish that he gave him, I would take that in a heartbeat before I would even fall from half the height that this stupid motherfucker did when he missed that moonsault, and he popped right back up to his feet. But this pissy little finish, he was dead. He was death warmed over on a fucking plate. Immediately after a pile driver, the other guy's fine, and the move was nowhere near the top 5 worst things to happen to Trent Beretta, but that was it. If Jay White is going to be around regularly, he is pigeonholed here to be a non-entity because, as I said, he beat a lower card guy. It was everything he could do. The match to watch moves was fine, I guess, but to look for talent and to see what everybody's raving about, no, this is another indie level guy that is in real good shape and does things better than most people, but still doesn't know how to put it all together. That's what I see. Your thoughts?
Well, the jury's still out for me. I'll watch him again when I see him again. I haven't watched too much of his stuff in New Japan because I've been kind of disinterested with New Japan the last few years. When you see he's going to wrestle Trent, you know what's going to happen already. He's going to win. It's going to go longer than it should. It's going to be more competitive than it should, considering it's supposed to be a main event caliber guy. And they're going to kick out everything. And that's exactly what happened. And then he wins. And it's one thing if a match like that breaks out and you don't know who's going to win, but when you already know exactly what's going to happen, why do all that stuff? But that's another story. We'll see. We'll see how he does in AEW. I did see, and this was kind of concerning, I guess he appeared at the Impact pay-per-view and reunited with the original Bullet Club members, the Good Brothers. And I'm like, oh God, please don't bring those two back on the AEW TV because they are the worst. But we'll see what happens with Jay White and this Forbidden Door and New Japan and AEW's relationship. Reportedly, Tony Khan's working on something big. We'll see what it is.
Well, you know, I'll tell you what, Tony better have a lot of irons in the fire. Keep this thing, if he's going to have to start renewing these contracts and paying these guys exorbitant amounts of money that they're going to be demanding, or elsewise they'll take their tights and go home. I know old Shad is a multi-billionaire, but do you think Tony has enough investments, Brian, to be able to weather the storm of navigating his way through this wrestling promoting deal?
If I had to guess, yeah, I'm sure Tony Khan has plenty of investments, probably some good ones too.
Well, what do you think he invests in?
What do I think he invests in? Well, probably the stock market, maybe some municipal bonds, and if he has the right person to monitor that, maybe some crypto. Of course, you got to have a crypto portfolio nowadays. I would have to think, being the son of a billionaire, I know if I was the son of a billionaire, I'd be all in on fine art.
Well, I thought you were going to say he was a son of something else when you started that. But being the son of the billionaire that he is, yes, fine art. But you know what? Fine art is no longer confined, Brian Last, to the rich and the wealthy and the hoity-toity and the upper percentiles. No, even regular human beings now, like you and me, Brian, at least me, can invest in fine art. Have you heard about this? Have you read about this?
I have heard about this. I have read about this.
Well, then I'll tell you about it. The folks at Masterworks, this is a new sponsor that we got on the program. They don't know what they're in for, and who knows how long they'll last. Hopefully they got a good sense of humor. But folks, I'll tell you, you never know what's going on. The stock market, the last several months, it's been up and down, back and forth. You don't know what's going on there. You don't know about investments anymore. You just mentioned the cryptocurrency and the Bitcoin and everything. That thing's yo-yoing all over the place. You don't know what you can trust anymore. Well, the folks at Masterworks, as a matter of fact, they sent me an email. They likened the art investment to wrestling. It says wrestling requires preparation, mental and physical. You don't just jump in the ring, but in wrestling, as we've seen, things can change on a dime, or in some cases, a missed moonsault. then your plans are totally thrown out the window. Your spine needs realigned. You've got to readjust your taint, and you're in a body cast for a year and a half. The same thing can happen when it comes to investing. You can get the wind knocked out of you. You can get run over by a bread truck. You and your portfolio out in the street, flatter than a plate full of piss, needing a spatula to pick you up. You look like a grease spot, a stain on the pavement, Brian, from being run over by that investment truck. Well, not me, because I got Masterworks in my corner, Brian, and I'll tell you what, Masterworks lets normal guys, as I mentioned, like me, and not you, diversify our portfolios with blue chip art from masters like Picasso, Monet, and Jack Kirby. Diversifying with art isn't new because the ultra wealthy have done it for centuries. And as you know, the blue chip art prices have outpaced the S&P 500, Brian, by 164% for the last 25 years. You've heard about this. You're a big-time investor. You and your Uncle Warren. Before he changed his name to Buffett, he was well known in the garment district up there. But it's an example like my Amazing Fantasy 15. I paid $25 for it. Actually, my mother did as a birthday present in 1973. And in 2017, I sold it for $25,000 because it was fine art. But if you can't afford a Van Gogh or a Picasso or even a Herb Trimpe, well, then you might be able to buy a piece of it. That's where Masterworks comes in, Brian. And if you go to Masterworks, then you will see the track record of art against investments. For example, did you know, Brian, that the annualized appreciation between 1995 and 2021 of contemporary art was 13.6%, and the U.S. housing was only 4.6%. And the correlation factor between contemporary art and gold, well, contemporary art's on the left side and gold is on the right side. So that tells you something right there. And if you measure contemporary art prices against real estate rates, you'll find that they cross in the middle at 2010. And that's a lot of trouble. So, folks, again, Masterworks is the key. If you don't have enough money to buy the whole Van Gogh, to buy the whole Mona Lisa, then you just invest what you've got, and maybe you get the Mona Lisa's left nostril. But when the Mona Lisa is sold, minus, of course, any costs involved, like picking the nose and cleaning the hair, then you get the money for the nose. The ultra wealthy have done this for centuries with the nose trade in the Middle Ages. Join the over 330,000 members of Masterworks. Get priority access to Masterworks with my unique link. You go to masterworks.art/Jim. Masterworks.art, ART/Jim. You know art. That's like, what do you call a guy with no arms and no legs hanging on the wall? Art. And you can see important disclosures at masterworks.io/disclaimer. But basically, you're investing in these blue chip pieces of art, and when they are sold, you reap a portion of the proceeds based on how many body parts of Mona Lisa you were managed to purchase before the sale took place. I want her left nipple.
Well, no, it doesn't work like that. You're buying a piece of equity. You're not buying a piece of the actual...
Well, you're buying a piece of it. You know, you got a piece of equity in it. When it's sold, you get your portion of the money. But I want to take a specific piece of the art that I've bought. I ought to be able to have a left ear or a right nostril or the middle nipple or something whenever I want it.
You can have whatever piece of the Mona Lisa you want.
Well, there you go. I'll tell you what, this girl I knew one time in Jackson, Mississippi, her middle nipple was incredible.
All right. Come on. Let's stay
all righty.